program, Mr. Dennis Fitzgerald, who is the chairman of the city's Parks and Recreation Commission. Mr. Fitzgerald. I finally had a chance to follow somebody to the podium who's almost as tall as I am. This is quite convenient not having to move this around. I want to thank you all for being here, and as these dedications tend to go, there are an awful lot of people to thank. And while we're in the process of thanking them, keep observing what is taking place around you, because this may be the last time that you see this field looking like it is, and hopefully as it matures into a full-fledged park for the youth of this community, we will enjoy it even more than we have tonight, and certainly more than we have in the past. Lots of people have participated in the development of this property, and as such we want to at least recognize their attendance here tonight and some of the things that they have done to getting us to where we are. From the City Council, Ben Marks. Ben, would you just acknowledge that you're here? Thank you. Another City Councilman, Joe Alcatib. Joe, I want you to stand up and wave. Jan Dolan in the flaming red dress. Thank you, Jan. If I missed anybody else from the City Council, would you stand up? I don't see. Okay, thank you. Gene Fox. Gene from Oakland County Parks and Recreation. Thank you, Gene. And sitting here in the front row are some of the members of the Parks and Rec Commission that deserve to show you more than the backs of their heads for some of the efforts that they have been putting into the planning and development of this. I'll introduce them to you. And folks, when you stand up, turn around and face the group again, okay? Mary Foran. Mary. Stay standing. Stay standing, what the heck? A little recognition here for you. Barb McCann. Stuart Sellis. John Bailey. And Paul Sowerby's around. Paul, where are you? Stand up, Paul. I want you to make sure you had a good look at these folks, because they are the ones that have worked long and hard in cooperation with Dan's Special Services Department and all the other people you're going to see in here tonight to, in a sense, be the pulse of what's going on and what's taking place. We know if we leave it to the politicians, they'll find some way of screwing it up, so they bring just simple little citizens in and let us, kind of second guess the things that they're deciding. In most cases, they do it extraordinarily well, so we don't have a whole lot to second guess them on. From the Planning Commission, members of the Planning Commission, where are you? Would you stand up, please, or be recognized? It won't hurt, I promise. There's one. Okay. The Farmington Board of Education would like to have been here, but they got some crazy thing going on tonight called graduation and commencement at North Farmington, so Helen Pruto from the school board sends her best. From the Department of Special Services, the big guy that was up here ahead of me, Dan Potter. Dan, your wife Barb is here someplace too, if I understand. Barb, where are you? Barb Potter, Dan. Dan's right-hand man, Eric Wormlinger. Eric, where are you? Tending to details. Thank you, Eric. Recreation Superintendent, Andy Lang. Andy is guarding the punch bowl. Thank you, Andy. Parks Superintendent John Mattern keeps the grass green and cut. Thank you, John. We have somebody that is probably more responsible for this property than you might think, and has gotten very little credit for it. As you know, most of this acreage was donated. In fact, all of it was donated. And there was a little inside help on the donation. We have a former clerk of the city here, Floyd Cairns. Floyd, would you stand up for a second? What I'm hinting at is Floyd's contact with the donor of the property just happened to be his grandparents. So is that right, Floyd?
Well, it was a part of my grandfather's farm, but the developer donated it.
Okay, well, we'll take credit for Floyd's family anyway on it. That ties it to us a little tighter. Floyd, we thank you. Dan, I think I'm going to just take a break now and let you bring us up to speed on the development and what's going to be happening here over the next several months.
Thank you, Denny. I guess I've got another young man working here, and if I didn't introduce him, these pictures are going to come out terrible. So I need to introduce my oldest son, Dan, who's a recreation major at Wayne State, kind of running around in a red jacket back there taking pictures for us tonight. You guys have never seen bad pictures until I don't introduce them. Pioneer Park. I guess truly a pioneer. And those of you who are here with us this evening are the people that know that better than I, since I'm kind of the new kid on the block. The name was selected a few months ago, and it is the pioneer for the park development program here in Farmington Hills. Many of you became involved in the planning process over 2 years ago when the master plan and the park millage proposal was put together and then promoted to the voters in this community. The Special Services Department over the last 8-9 months has been working on a number of different projects that were outlined within the master plan that was adopted when that park millage was approved. The mayor and council had done it previous to that point, but until the millage was approved by you, the voters, the funds weren't really there to follow through on that plan. And so on behalf of the city, I think you deserve a word of thanks for supporting that millage, for supporting the park master plan, for your participation in various programs, and for your being here tonight to commemorate this groundbreaking. So this truly is a pioneer in that we're breaking ground on literally only the third park that the community has. And I think this will be then the model for future park development. As many of you know, the park master plan calls for acquisition of another site at the south end of Farmington Hills for, again, athletic improvements. Hopefully this park development will be the model that will be used for that development. So we thank you again for being here tonight. This project with the groundbreaking this evening will be underway. Don Gerlach from Gerlach Construction is here with us, and he assured me just a few minutes before this that his equipment's going to be here by the end of the week, and they're going to start full steam ahead. We're looking for a late September completion as to the major construction within the park, landscaping to be installed by that time, seating to be accomplished, so that the park will be completed and hopefully ready for use, barring any disasters, weather-wise and so forth, by the first part of next spring. And I'm sure that our youth groups, both soccer and Little League Baseball, are looking forward to that use. So we thank you for coming tonight. We certainly look forward to your continuing input into the park improvement program. As many of you know, we just awarded bids Monday evening for the first phase and the improvements at Heritage Park. Hopefully that will be underway in the next month, with that plan calling for that completion by sometime this fall. And hopefully we'll get into the second phase of that construction by next year. So this is truly the pioneer. It's the first phase. We've got a long way to go. We ask for your continued patience and cooperation and input along the way. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan. I do want to step back a second and now spotlight, if I can, some of the people that we've really built the park for are going to get the most use out of it. We have some representatives here tonight from the Farmington Soccer Club. Terry Shelton, or I thought I saw you around someplace. There you are. Terry, why don't you come on up here and stand for a second? And let's get to join Terry, Jim Hudson from South Farmington Baseball. Jim, why don't you step up here? And from North Farmington, West Bloomfield, Bev Barney and Keith Gallagher. Or, that's not Keith. And I think I saw some kids running around here in baseball caps. Why don't you two number 12s come take a step up here? These are the the adults that kind of brought to our attention the growing need for this kind of a facility in the city, and worked very hard and patiently with the processes that we had to go through to get to where we are today. And obviously these are the young men who are going to be enjoying it next spring and next fall. Soccer players would have been here, but they've got some kind of a season going now or something like that, Terry, where they're busy playing. There's always some kind of an alibi. We certainly hope that the park is everything these people want it to be, and that they get as much use out of it as we hope that they can get out of it. Thank you, folks. Appreciate it. While ideas do begin in the minds and hearts of people, there always has to be somebody that has the ability and technical experience to make ideas come to some kind of a fruition. We're fortunate to have John Grissom very involved in that, and I'm going to let John step up here now as the architect of this facility, explain to you a little bit about what that means.
Not quite as tall. It's my pleasure to have this date come up, that we can have this dedication to build this park for you. It was a long time planning this development of this park, and I guess the greatest thing to me was that the opportunity to work with the city officials and the community at large to develop this park. Of all the cities or communities I've ever worked with, I've never had anybody that was more interested or more dedicated than the people here in Farmington Hills. I feel confident that the officials and the community at large, the citizens, are going to be very happy with this park, and we look forward to its completion. Another thing that makes me feel so good is that it's not only the park itself, but everyone's concerned about the abutting property owners in the community, immediate community, to make sure that it was compatible to them and be something that they would enjoy and be so happy that it's here. In addition, I'm proud and happy to say that Don Gerlach, the contractor working this job, has done work for our firm for, I guess, over 20 years. I've known this company. And I feel confident that we're going to have a park that's going to be completed on time and the quality that we all expect and look forward to. Thank you very much.
Now we've got the thinkers and we've got the planners, and now we've got to have the guy that kind of ties all the purse strings together, spend a moment or two giving us some of his thoughts. That would be the mayor. Ben? Remember, Ben, you said be brief to me.
Believe me, I'm going to be the epitome of brevity. Before I go, I'd like to introduce somebody that Dennis missed. He snuck in on you. Our County Commissioner, Dave Moffett, and his daughter. Did I make points? Did I make points? That's Mrs. Moffett. Well, you've heard everything that if I were to talk about, I would repeat what's been said before. But we on City Council fully support the efforts, the requests, and the endeavors of all people involved in this park effort. I've said this before and I'll say it again. We've got a marvelous city, we've got a marvelous administration, but we wouldn't leave the house if we didn't have the people we have here in Farmington Hills, because you are the people that make this thing tick. So without any other comments, I say to you, good luck. We on City Council will give you all the help we can, as long as you keep giving us the help you can. Thank you very much.
Sometimes the people who are least visible are the ones that have the greatest impact on what goes on in a community. We've got a very low-profile city manager, but we're going to make him step away from that hiding place of his office and get Bill Kostick up here to share with you a few of his thoughts. Bill?
Well, the mayor told me to be brief, which I always am. We've waited a long time for this event, and it's gratifying to me to know that city government works, because for a long time, people in Farmington Hills didn't really want to invest a lot of money in the park system. At least it wasn't made known to us. And about 2.5 years ago, a lot of the people standing back here who were up here earlier from the Little Leagues came to the City Council and said, we need some facilities. And that started a process, and the Parks and Recreation Commission responded and spent a lot of hours and a lot of time working with citizen groups and the people that are involved with the youth athletic programs. And this is really the beginning. And as Dan Potter said earlier, I hope that a year from now we can be dedicating a similar facility in the south end of the community where we also need such facilities or additional facilities. and it would just add to all the tearing up around the town that's going on. We didn't want to leave this part of the community not in a state of disruption, so we're delighted to start this park. I just want to mention, too, real quickly, a couple of other people that have had direct involvement in this and spent a lot of time on it, some of the staff people. Our assistant city manager used to be city engineer, Dave Call. Dave's in the back. Why don't you hold your applause? And I just want to acknowledge some of the people that have worked hard on it. And our city engineer, Skip Otwell, and a couple of members of Skip's staff who have worked hard on this. I saw them earlier. We have a couple of our engineers, Roger Buell and Paul O'Mara. Where are they? There they are. And since he's here, last but not least, the guy that figured out how to pay for this bond issue, and our finance director, Charlie Roche. I want to personally thank the Parks and Recreation Commission. This group has worked Saturdays, nights, to get the park system where it's at, and we owe Dennis and John and all of you, and Paul Sowerby, who is no longer on the commission. He was moved to our Zoning Board of Appeals, but a lot of dedication there. And more recently and finally, our Director of Special Services and our Assistant Director, Eric Wormlinger, and Dan Potter, they've done an excellent job in putting this together, and we're just looking forward to having it ready so we can use it next year. So I'm ready to get this going. Thank you.
We're going to take this public opportunity to thank somebody for what he's done in his role as a former commissioner. Paul Sowerby, why don't you come on up here a second? We get paid very well for the work that we do on the Parks and Rec Commission. I think our budget's just, our salary's just been doubled by the kind remarks that Mr. Kostick has paid to us. But Paul's been with us about 2 or 3 years, took an opportunity to move on to the Zoning Board of Appeals, where they need his fine, persuasive thinking, his sharp tongue and wit, and maybe a little bit of the humor that he shared with us for 3 years. But Ben, why don't you come up here? We got a little plaque that we usually pass on to departing members. It says very simply,
Departing.
he's departing from the Parks and Rec Commission.
That's where it goes, Paul, right?
You know, you're not so big, we could probably make that quick. Presented to Paul Sowerby, an appreciation for dedicated and valued contributions as a member of the City of Farmington Hills Parks and Rec Commission, 1984 to 1987. Paul, thank you very much.
Nice. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you.
Just a brief comment. I took an awful lot of heat when I put him on the ZBA because this guy behind me wouldn't let me live, but I overwhelmed him, I think. But Paul, thank you again.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Dennis.
Okay. Now finally to the actual official groundbreaking ceremony. I was trying to talk Ben and the contractor letting us bring the tractor over and see if we couldn't do this a little quicker than a shovelful at a time, but I guess we didn't have our driver's license or something like that. I'm not so sure how you want to stage this, Dan, but I'm going to turn it over to you. We're going to dig some ground here, and hopefully we get what we need. Jenny, I think why don't we go ahead with the closing part of the program, and then we can stage for picture purposes. Much of your contributions, time and dollars and effort and interest. We hope we don't disappoint you in anything that we've done and anything that we continue to do. Again, thanks to the Farmington Youth Band, and please step back and enjoy the refreshments.
Is that group too wide? Let's see if we can get. Here, let me see if we can. Stu, can you? Okay, how's that? Is that? You got everybody? Hey, down. There you go. Get out of the way here.
Still clicking, still going here, the street.
No. More? Yeah, one more.
There you go.
Is this your family picnic again?
Yes.
Say Doris Bisco, look out.
There we go. You're so cautious. This is what I love. There you go.